became a gladiator. A gladiator who defied an emperor.
The Primarch ring, this hunk of handcrafted silver, is a representation of mortality, ultimately. It's a visage of a skull on there. And in Latin, it says olim, which sounds pretty gangster, in my opinion. And what that means is once. And the idea behind that is that time is fleeting. And all you have left at the end of the day that you leave behind here, this life, is memories, is your mark. It's what you leave behind. And that's kind of where we come up with the name Primarch, to leave your mark behind in ninefold.
The Primarch ring, for me, it just embodies kind of what that summer was. One time, for me, going to the top, going through all the battles, the suffering, the pain, the anger, everything that was embodied, was kind of just a little encapsulation of what life is. Going through things once, the hard, the good, the joy, the pain. So whenever I have this ring on, whenever I look back, see it sitting there on my counter, that's what I think about.
It is an emblem or token to me that I can finish hard things. No matter what gets thrown in front of me, I have if I will, my mind and my body to do so, I'm gonna finish.
It took a lot of mental prep and just kind of coming to an understanding to myself the price I needed to pay to hit that. It's obviously something that's not an easy feat. Going up against some of the best guys in our company, it's hard work. But what it meant to me was proving to myself that I was able to work harder, push harder, and be the one.
It is the incentive more than any other incentive that we have that requires whoever it is that rises up to the Primarch level in ninefold to leave everything on the table. No excuses, nothing. They give it all they have to leave their mark on the ninefold nation forever, to become a legend, to become the Primarch.
First summer was full of twists and turns, plot changes, tough battles, but I just knew deep down that I could win it all. So whatever it took, no matter if I felt like other people were against me, rule changes, whatever happened, I knew I was gonna get it done. I never doubted.
It's lonely. Definitely the most lonely I've ever felt in my life was in the middle of that arena. You know, you get used to going to correlation every morning and laughing with the boys, and it's a great time. When you are into your fifth or sixth arena, you can't lose because all of your guys look up to you and they're all placing bets on you. So you're waking up at 6 in the morning, you're on the doors by 8 o'clock. As soon as the sun rises, you're knocking that first door. And you don't see the guys for 2 days. You get home at 10:30, 11:30 at night because you've been busting your balls the entire day. And working harder than you ever have worked in your life. You feel like there's this giant beast that you have to slaughter all by yourself. And when you finish that arena, it's the greatest feeling.
There's a lot of times where you're coming down to it, where you're down a couple sales, you're not on pace to what you're wanting to hit, and you're like, am I content with where I'm at? Is this all right? Did I give it my all? And it's cool to see how deep you need to think to overcome all those obstacles and become what you need to become.
I had to push harder than I've ever pushed, so it definitely, I think we ran the numbers. I did almost a third of my summer's production during the Gladiator days, those 3 days a week when we rolled out the incentives. So absolutely it pushed me to be better and elevated what thought I was capable of every week.
I have a standard that I need to hit. There's an expectation. I can't go out there and just have a day where I don't give it my all. And everyone knows, you know, they've seen us in action. There's a standard now, and I love that. I love that there's an expectation for me to continue. I think that's who needs to be winning these arenas. It's the person that's giving it his all every single day, not just when people expect him to.
I would say it doesn't come down to skill. A lot of people think it's going to go towards the best sales rep. It's never been the case. It's always been to the person that's willing to outwork the person next to them. It kind of comes down to our core principles. Be all in, never say die. If you can do those two things, you'll win.
Tennyson, in his epic poem Ulysses, he writes this poem from Odysseus' point of view, from Greek mythology. After Odysseus has made it back from his Odyssey to his island, conquered his island from the suitors, and is getting older now. And he writes this perspective of a hero that is now aged with time and worn down and has accomplished all these things in his life. And it's really poignant. He talks about in that poem Odysseus looking at his son and how there's a difference. His son is great. His son is this manager of affairs. He's this governor of the island, and he's responsible enough to carry on in his father's stead. But his father sees a difference between him and his son. His father's on the kind of almost the cusp of the next phase of life, going on into the abyss of death and what that looks like, a new beginning. But he says in the final closeout lines of that poem, he says, "Though we are not now that strength which in days of old moved earth and heaven, that which we are, one equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield." You could say, of the two Primarchs before, this is a new incentive for us. To have that in your heart, to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield is essential to win the Primarch.